All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's career conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Linus Cackley. I'm the program coordinator for FutureTech Careers. What you are sitting at right now is a career conversation. These events are put on weekly by FutureTech Careers as a way to introduce you to careers in the tech and advanced manufacturing industries, as well as to help you build a skill that will serve you in your career. Now, as I mentioned, this event is put on by Future Tech Careers, which is a department on campus that you can sort of think of like your own personalized career services department. We offer career support specifically to students in computer science and advanced manufacturing. These career conversations are just one of the many ways we strive to support you. So, with that being said, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, John Rummery. John will be leading a workshop on how to use LinkedIn. So, John, take it away.
All right, thanks, Linus, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm John Rummery, Program Manager at GRCC for the Future Tech program. And I kind of chose this topic to present on because LinkedIn is something that I've used at least for 20 years, maybe even since they first were launched. And I've used it pretty religiously, maybe weekly, sometimes daily, to find jobs, to build my network, to organize events, to do a lot of different things, to research companies, get to know new people. So I'm pretty passionate. I think it's a great tool for anybody in the business world. So I'll get started here. I'll keep this informal. I'll move pretty quickly. I'm also available afterwards if you'd like to chat a little bit about your profile. So I'm going to start with kind of the big why students should use it. Actually, why anybody that's looking in the building their career should use it, but more focused on students, kind of how to get started. Just the real, like, if you're starting from scratch, what are the things to focus on? Because it could be overwhelming if you don't know just, some of the basics. How to grow your network once you're established, and then give you some ideas of daily habits, things that I use, that others have used to be successful and really leverage and the LinkedIn profile or the LinkedIn platform. So before we start, we got a really big crowd in here. How many people use LinkedIn already? Okay, we got some vets. Cool. You check regularly? Yeah? Okay. Some regular, sometimes you can get set up. I know sometimes it's part of maybe a business class or some other things. You get a profile, then it kind of sits for a couple of years. But one of the things we'll talk about is this regular basis. Okay, so why it matters for students, and again, I think it matters for everybody, but LinkedIn is considered your digital resume, and it's your professional network online. You can meet people in person, connect with them on LinkedIn, so you have that professional network that's growing. I find it great to do research, career exploration for students. I use it for research all the time, research on people, on companies, on groups, on meetups, get some new ideas. You can discover jobs. You can discover internships. You can build a professional network this way. I was talking to Linus beforehand about how I use it to maybe go to networking events, come back, connect with people online, meet them in person. So you can use it really to build a professional network. You don't have to worry about stacking up hundreds of business cards or trying to remember people. It's all stored on LinkedIn. And you can use it as a showcase. Like people talk about personal branding. So you can showcase projects, your skills. You can build your reputation all using LinkedIn. And I kind of go back. This is just one of the statistics I found that 80% of recruiters trust LinkedIn versus your resume. I find it's more than that. I very rarely have met somebody that's hiring for a job. And I say, how do you vet somebody, your candidates? I would, personally, it's an anecdote, 95% of the people I talk to say, I look at their LinkedIn profile, see what they're up to, versus just relying on a paper resume to review. So I'm going to take each of those reasons why. When I talk about career exploration research, almost any company will have a LinkedIn page. And so initially, if I'm going to be interviewing or send jobs out, I always go to that LinkedIn page, find it. I would follow them if I'm not following them. So that gives you like this dynamic look at what's going on in their company. And just from this little screen capture, you can see who works there. You can see, if you click on, I'll show you this a little bit in the live profile, you can find people that work there. So you're automatically like getting an idea for who to connect with. Great way to prepare for interviews. You can still use their website. There's other tools, platforms, like I'll use Reddit sometimes to go on to find out like what's going on in the culture of a company. But overall, I'll use LinkedIn to find the people I want to connect with, to find out what projects they're working on, and what's really important to them. So industry is another thing. This is a little bit beyond working for a company, but if you're interested in working in the web development profession, cybersecurity, there's literally like either a meetup group, an industry group, a trade group that has a LinkedIn page. Find it, follow it, and then again, you can start interacting as you get more comfortable within that specific industry and kind of start building your name out. This is definitely a longer term play. It takes a while to get comfortable and for people to get to know you, but it's a great way to like identify, I'm interested in AI, I'm interested in web development, I'm interested in design, and start following these types of groups so you can kind of get an idea of what things are being talked about. Discover internships. If you're a student, just yesterday as I was putting this presentation together, Jess Lancaster from TechSmith just posted this just yesterday, literally saying he's looking for an intern in privacy, auditing, security, compliance. So basically cybersecurity. And once you start building your network, these types of feeds come through on a regular basis. The other cool thing about this, if I was working with a student and I saw this post, I could send that to them in 1 second. And I do that often if I know somebody is telling me that, hey, I'm on the job market, I'm interested in this type of position. When I see a job or something that's interesting for that person, I just go up here to these 3 buttons, click, and send it directly to them. And it's a quick way to help other people out when you see something that's they could be interested in. This, as I mentioned, is building your network, and this just gives you an idea that once you get started, LinkedIn will identify people that based on your profile, whether it's from, I went to Western Michigan University, on a regular basis it'll start showing people that are at Western that are on it, people that live in Grand Rapids. Again, depending how you set up your profile, LinkedIn will take some of the work out for you, help you identify people to connect with. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. All right, so the other thing about showcasing your skills and reputation, goes back to the building your brand. And here's some friends of mine. Here's Christy. She works at Augusto Digital. And she's a designer. And she uses LinkedIn on a regular basis. You can look at some of her posts, conferences she goes at, places that she has presented at. But as you scroll down you can see her experience in there. Keep scrolling down. And she uses any project she does. So she worked for Apple Computer for a couple of years. That's listed as a project. Worked with Corvette. She volunteers. She's a speaker. She's got some endorsements and also some certifications in these areas. LinkedIn, you can give and you can accept recommendations from people that show up on your profile. If you're somebody that's published things, she was a 40 under 40 honoree. So this all goes into your LinkedIn profile. You never would be able to capture this really on a resume. It would make your resume 5 miles long. This way it shows up digitally. People can check you out if they're thinking of hiring you perhaps as a contractor or your company, and they want to kind of vet the person to see what their experience is. A great way, build your reputation, what you're involved with outside the classroom using LinkedIn. Another example, I'll go back to the slide real quick. Yeah, Andrea Wallace. If you know Super Dre, she's a famous DJ, entrepreneur in the area. She uses LinkedIn to promote, she's an entrepreneur to promote her company. I'll talk a little bit about banners in a bit. She's the founder of Opener. Posts on a regular basis. She's involved in the music industry. You can see that just from these 2 slides a little bit that she's very engaged in the industry, very knowledgeable about it. But again, I go back to her experience, captures education, her volunteering work, her skills, recommendations, another 40 under 40 graduate. And it kind of goes on and on, organizations that she supports. So something that will never be able to, that really your resume doesn't really do justice for, is like your reputation. LinkedIn allows you to identify as you start volunteering for things, joining groups, doing things, maybe a little consulting, that you put this on your profile, and it's telling kind of the world or people that are interested in you that you have certain skills, or that maybe they're aligned with what the company's looking for. All right, so this is getting started. This would be my recommendation for anybody that's trying to either start a brand new LinkedIn or go back to their existing LinkedIn and kind of clean it up and get it ready, polish it up for prime time. I think from a getting started standpoint, focus on three things: your picture, your banner, and your headline. This is probably the easiest, but it's also the one that causes a lot of angst for people. So getting started for that picture, profile, photos that are clear are the best, professional, make you look friendly. But there's also exceptions to that, and I'll show you some too. What you kind of want to avoid is group photos, maybe where you're just one of many, or maybe you're on spring break and you're shotgunning a beer or something like that, and you don't want that as your profile picture. You want something that's going to be professional. Occasionally we'll see people post things that their picture it's kind of fuzzy, it's out of focus. Maybe they grabbed it from an old photo. Avoid those. Sunglasses don't really, unless you like selling sunglasses, they're not really that great for a photo. But again, there's always exception. The banner can be anything, really. My favorite thing is be good, be memorable. Have a banner, which is the big picture, that is kind of interesting to you. Make yourself stand out from the crowd, but you also can use it to promote your company, your career, what you're doing now is a great way of doing that. And the headline, which I'll show you, kind of be memorable. What you want to avoid, and I see this a lot for people that are just getting started, is on their headline, they say, I'm a student at GRCC, or I'm a student at GVSU, or I'm just graduated looking for a job. You kind of want to avoid just those generic, because everybody, that's not exciting, it's not memorable. You want to do something that people will look at and they go, that's kind of an interesting person. And the pro tip is that whether it's your headline, your banner, or your photo, you can change it. You can change it weekly if you want. I mean, you keep it fresh. Maybe keep it out for 6 months. If you get a new picture, we do headshots here for our students. If you get something and you like it better, change your headshot. Nothing's permanent at all. I'll show you a few examples. Who's this guy? Anybody know this guy? Yeah, Linus. I chose his profile. He's one of our staff, one of our team members. He uses his banner just to promote his work. And that's a great way to use that banner so people know exactly where he works. If and when he would move on to another position, he would change it, something that reflects what he's doing there. You can see his coaching the tech workforce of tomorrow is his headline, and so great photo. Was this done during our camera shots? Yeah, during one of our shots. So that's one example. This next one's kind of cool. I like it because this kind of defies maybe some of the best practices, but Lydia Kaufman's one of our partners, employer partners. She's got a picture she likes. I like it too. And it's not I like it. And then her picture she chose actually was her speaking at a FutureTech event during Tech Week when she is one of the speakers. So this kind of defies you have to have this perfect headshot. She's a speaker, she's a motivator, she's inspirational, that's what she chose. And you can see she used her tagline to talk a little bit about her career and what she does as work. He's another one of our partners, founder of Code on Wheels. He's also a software engineer at Steelcase. And you notice in his headline, he doesn't mention that he's a software engineer. There's millions of software engineers. He's a tech professional. He works in the nonprofit area. board member, he speaks, he has all this information in his tagline. So he's kind of expanding, trying to be, has a unique type of profile. He's got a great headshot that if you were to meet him in person, you could see him in a room and walk over, hey man, I saw you, I connected with you. You'll look like what his picture is, you'll look like that in person. So you know exactly who maybe you want to try to talk to at the event. Your company and your colleges automatically show up on your profile. Michael Hale Jr. is a friend from Detroit. He works at Atomic Object in Detroit. He started there about 6 months ago. So his profile is, he's a business development guy. He's trying to recruit business into his company. His LinkedIn is like, he works for Atomic Object. There's no like mystery where he works or what he does. He uses it because he's always out networking, always at events, and always, working in the business development area. So he's very clear what he does, where he works for, and, kind of his passion. Well, so I got Joanna Udu is one of our speakers that spoke at some of our career conversations in the past. And Joanna is an entrepreneur. She works at Corewell Health. But you can see like she uses her LinkedIn to promote herself. This is her brand. She's a speaker. She's a consultant. She runs some nonprofits. So again, if you look at her profile, it doesn't really say Corewell Health in there. But it's in when you look at her experience and where it does. But this is the stuff that she wants to use LinkedIn for, is to bring in, to help grow maybe her nonprofit organization, Bridges in Tech. So again, you're using LinkedIn for a specific purpose. The other key getting started is your education and your work experience. And my pro tip here, and I'll show you like Linus's in a second, is take your existing resume, cut and paste it in there, fix it up. You don't need to really start from scratch. Take your resume, cut it in there, and then you can update it. Kind of the other pro tip, that once you have your LinkedIn profile kind of set up, especially with education and experience and some other things, you can turn that into your resume. You can kind of go reverse. You can download it as a PDF. It comes out as a form, and then you have a resume right there. And the cool thing about that is it's like up to date to the second. So if you keep your LinkedIn profile updated, you don't have to go back and worry about going on to your old resume and adding things you've been doing, because if you've been doing them on LinkedIn, they'll show up on your PDF that you download. Look at Linus again. So you can see how his activity shows up there, his experience. And what I wanted to show you about what Linus is, how he used this, is that college student, recent grad, you think, man, I don't have, a lot of jobs to show off like a lot of people, but if you're in college and you're working and you're doing projects or working part-time as an assistant, working as a TA, intercultural aide at a college, you add that to your work profile. And it builds it up. It gives you a lot more to talk about and gives a lot of work for people to look at. And again, you can go online. Again, this is like a new, starting out your career, working hard, add your education. There you go. And he goes on to get like an advanced degree that goes on top. They'll show up above your bachelor's degree, and it's all right there. So that's that. And again, don't like go crazy with, you don't have to spend a ton of time with experience and education. Take your existing resume, cut and paste it in there, and they give you templates to do that. It's really easy. I'm going to have plenty of time for questions afterwards. The other, so you got your kind of setting up your brand, your photo, your banner, your headline. You have your education experience. And I think the third thing that I think most people don't really spend a lot of time on is like building your feed. Is like really using LinkedIn as a research tool, as something that you're learning from on an ongoing basis. So I would prioritize building your feed. And by that I mean, you go to your profile and you can do almost anything. You can build your feed. So when I talk about a feed, this is this right here in the middle. And don't worry, unfortunately, LinkedIn normal has become not saturated, but there's a lot of ads that are popping up now. Just go past them, but these are people that I've followed in the past. They have companies, ad right there, but there's Christy again. So anybody that I have connected with or followed, Robert Upton is a friend, Elliot Lee, so you can kind of go through and see your feeds. But how do you get this information to come through? Kind of customized information. You set that up. An example would be maybe one of the easiest things. Let's say you're going to be interviewing. You have a job coming up with Lyft. So like a remote position, the rideshare company. So you go to Lyft, and then what I would do, first thing you do is like hit follow. So Lyft information about their company, their jobs, their events will be fed into your feed. You can also see that, I know like 2 people that work there already. So you can start customizing your feed, and you can go to any company locally, whether it's Atomic Object, Carnivale, Augusto Digital, Amway, Steelcase. Start following all these companies that you're kind of interested, or organizations that you want to work for, and make sure you're following them. Another thing that I really like doing is I go to groups, and these are the groups that I follow. And what a group is, it's not sponsored by a company. A group are people that have a common interest in a certain subject. And some, you join, some are more active than others. But let's say I'm really looking I like gardening. So if I like gardening and I kind of think it's cool, you can go, show you all the groups. Some are not going to be relevant, but hey, I might consider joining the Master Gardening People group. And you think that's kind of like, what's that have to do with the job? What you're doing is painting a picture of yourself as a whole person. That you're not just like a robot, you're not AI, you're like a real person with real interests has interesting hobbies. But you can, anything you want, you could just put in there as a topic and find the groups that you might want to join. So another thing you can do is, so there you go with groups. And let's say you're interested in gardening. You have that as a topic. You can look at companies. These are all companies that are involved in that industry. You could put in cybersecurity, AI, web design. You can start finding companies just by using that as a search tool. Another little trick to build your feed, it's not even a trick, it's another, a tactic, is I look for newsletters. And these are from people that you can, a lot of times somebody might say on their tagline of their email, hey, sign up for my newsletter. We just had a speaker last week, Mike Carnivale, and he's got a really dynamic newsletter. And actually it was recommended by some other students that went to the event and some professionals. You sign up for the newsletter on LinkedIn, and that's just another piece of information that will come through your feed that you can read, that you become knowledgeable about a certain topics that are of interest to you. Here you can see this is Midwest Startup and Tech News. I used to follow that quite a bit. Sometimes I don't. And some of the thing about newsletters, they kind of not come and go a little bit. Some are more sustainable than others. But again, it's a good way, short term, if you really want to take a deep dive into a topic. You can sign up for a newsletter. Events, those will show up automatically on your feed oftentimes. But it's kind of cool. If you're ever in charge of organizing an event, you can use LinkedIn to create an event. And then once you do that, if you're like, say, running a student group, you can create an event on LinkedIn. You use your network, invite people directly to the event, and has all the information. You can actually hyperlink it to like an Eventbrite or other things too, so people can RSVP right from LinkedIn to your event. One of the easiest ways to build your network is to look at the colleges you're attending. And you can, one thing you can do is you can go to people, company, people, These are people that work at GRCC. And this is not like, I don't want you to spam people you don't know, but maybe it's a professor, maybe it's a staff person that you know, or maybe it's somebody that knows a professor that you think would be interested. You can connect with them that way. But that gives you that like commonality, that common denominator. Hey, I work at GRCC too, I'd like to connect with you. I guarantee you, like, the highest rate of connections of accepting is colleagues at a college, other students or people that work there. Then you can kind of start expanding from there. But if you want to get your first 100 connections, go to your college and go that way and start connecting with people if you don't want to go directly to them. And the other little thing that you can do at a college, what I think is really cool, Grand Rapids Community College, you look at here's their page, hit alumni. It shows you where they work. These are alumni from GRCC. Maybe you know some, maybe you don't. Maybe it's somebody you want to get to know. Oh, you look like Paula Brown. She's a Great Start Collaborative, Kent County. You can see, oh, she knows, like Gretchen and some other connections. That's like a perfect way to like, hey, I see that you know somebody I know, I like to get connected. Or you just kind of keep going through here and finding people that are alumni, somebody from the Grand Rapids Community Foundation that you want to connect with. Gives you that common language, that common denominator to connect with. And you can do that for any college you've been to. You can go to Meyer and you can look at all Meyer employees. A lot of different ways to kind of like think about building your network. All right, so that's how I would get followed. I would identify companies that I'm interested in, organizations, maybe you could do some nonprofits in there, Grand Rapids Community Foundation, GR Web Dev, find out who's members. Then you start building it that way. And you can individually people you can go in there and look at, sign up for newsletters, follow some groups. The 20 Connections Challenge, set a goal to get 20 connections, 5 a week. Go to your classmates, professors, alumni, coworkers, you name it, and see if you can get like 5 a week. Maybe you can try to get 10 a week. I was kind of joking with Linus before the meeting. We're talking about building your network, and I remember when you first started with our program, and how many people did you have on LinkedIn then?
Not 200.
Yeah, it's like 100 maybe. Now he's up easily over 500, and it happens like if you're looking at a graph, you kind of slow build. Once you hit that 500 number, or even 300 or 400, and you're using this on a regular basis, and I define regular, 5 minutes a day. Using it like that, your network will explode. It grows exponentially, and you'll be surprised about how robust your feed is and how many invites you start getting from other people to join. So but start out just say, hey, my goal is to reach 20 connections. And you can break that down weekly. Another recommendation I have is the 5-minute daily challenge. I swear, if you spend 5 minutes a day on LinkedIn, that's really all you need. And you can build like this tremendous network and start identifying opportunities. You can help other people to get going. But my daily routine, I spend way more than 5 minutes, but I review my feed every day. What's going on? If I see a friend that got promoted, hey, great job. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing this. Or see a friend or somebody I know that's looking for a job and I see one, I'll make that connection. Somebody that's organizing an event, they might say, can you help me amplify this event? You do that. Occasionally I'll post things. It doesn't always have to be related to GRCC or Future. For me, it doesn't always have to be related to GRCC or FutureTech. It could be things that you're interested in. I'll post things I'm a volunteer at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center, WYCE. It's a radio station, and I'm a programmer there. I'll post things about music. I'll read Billboard magazine, the local music scene, and I use my LinkedIn profile to share that out. And the beauty of that is you start building your profile instead of like going just deep into like, I just only want to connect with people in cyber security. You start getting people all sorts of industries, all sorts of backgrounds, and they become part of your network that way. Examples of great posts as a college student is like, if you do a class project, post about that. you created like a PowerPoint or maybe an app you developed, put that on there. And that becomes a nice talking point. Internship experiences, anybody of our students that are interns, talk about the company you're working with, things you've learned. Make sure you connect with everybody at that company. And then, again, that starts building out your visibility. Key is consistency. Wake up in the morning, pour your coffee, log on to LinkedIn for 5 minutes. And maybe you're just scrolling one day. Maybe another day you're starting to connect. But by doing that over time, you're going to have, I think you're going to have a tool that's going to really help your career. So my final advice before I get into Q&A are keep your profile updated. What's the danger of like LinkedIn? If you have like this moldy old profile on LinkedIn and somebody checks it, like say you're applying for a job, it's kind of a turnoff. I mean, it's like, like, okay, you haven't posted in 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, and you use LinkedIn as one of your you put that on your resume. It shows that you're really not taking that part of your career seriously. Be professional. And that, be professional is like, if I've seen some of the mistakes I've seen on LinkedIn, especially from students and job seekers, and this happens more often than not, I've seen posts and I've had to reach out to folks and say, either take that down, but they start complaining about, man, this job market sucks. Or I sent 10 resumes out, 100 resumes and never got one return. This, industry is, what's going on? You start complaining. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to read that. Nobody wants to see that, especially on LinkedIn. Be professional, be positive. Those are okay discussions to have with friends. Being frustrated really happens to everybody, but don't share that type of thing out amplify that on LinkedIn because it kind of will give you a reputation that you don't want to have. Support others. Anytime I see a job and I know somebody's looking for a job, I try to help them out. I'll send things, either direct message or copy them that way. Be consistent, explore it. I think what I shared with you today is probably 10% of all the LinkedIn, how vibrant it is. You can do a lot more tools on there, but just get started with that 10% or 20%. Use critical thinking. There's a lot of ads. Occasionally you'll run into some things like propaganda on there too. Don't get frustrated. The biggest frustration I hear among people that use LinkedIn are the LinkedIn jobs right now, where there's a lot of jobs that are posted and then you apply and you're ghosted because maybe it wasn't really a job to begin with. People are harvesting some of your information. That's true. So use your critical judgment. If I see a job on LinkedIn, or I recommend it's for this company, I go to that company's website and look at their job board and apply through it that way. But I use LinkedIn to identify what that job is. In-person networking is always going to be greater than online networking, always 100%. But you use your online networking as a follow-up. You go to a GR Web Dev event, you meet somebody there. If you're on your phone, very common, I meet somebody at an event, I'll go on my phone, my LinkedIn profile, and connect with them right then and there and do it that way. So then you can have this ongoing dialogue with them afterwards. So it's also great for an introductory tool. And if you know you're going to an event, sometimes you can see if it's an event that's been promoted on LinkedIn, you can see who's attending there. You can start looking at people, looking at their profile. So then if you do meet them, you know what they look like, you have something to talk about. So with that said, questions from the audience, online or in person?
Yeah, as we move into questions, if you're in the audience in person and you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone to you. That will allow folks on Zoom to hear your question as well. And then if you're on Zoom, feel free to drop your question in the chat. I'll read it out on the microphone so that everyone can hear it.
Oh, there's so many questions in the audience here. Somebody's got to have one. All right. That's a pro tip. If you're not getting questions ask for it. Hi, Victoria.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how would I make it right? Like sometimes to learn from people from LinkedIn, from my network, like how would it be right, like to meet with them and um, maybe they work somewhere where I would want to work and stuff. Like how would it be the correct way to meet with them and follow up and stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I was going to show that into my presentation, but let me see if I can get down to from my website. What I do is, if there's somebody like a company, you can go into, I don't think I have it pulled up here, but you can look at, there we go, into this like messaging button. And I was going like, these are all people that I get messages all the time, people looking for jobs or just following up on things. But what I do is like, if there's somebody I want to meet, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but I'll message them on LinkedIn, or number one, I'll try to connect with them, and I'll do a personal note. And you can like go online and look, there's different ways of making an introduction. You want to be short, kind of unique, and just introduce yourself and say, and what works the best? Well, I believe that everybody inherently wants to help somebody else. I mean, like it's an ego thing. Like if somebody asks me for advice, wow, that's cool. Ask for advice, ask for help from other people, especially in West Michigan. People want to help. So, hey, I'm a student at GRCC. I'm looking to work in the marketing industry for this nonprofit, and I saw your profile. Boom. That could be like how you would message somebody to connect with. And you might have to do a lot of them, but that over time, more times than not, I've connected with people that way that I didn't know beforehand. Another way is that if you find somebody that you want to connect with, they always show like who's in their network, and they see if there's a common person. Oh wow, this person knows Linus, or this person knows Consuelo. Drop that name. And in some cases, depending how like vital it is, ask Linus to do a warm introduction. And they have, there's tools. LinkedIn shows you that you can ask that person to do an introduction on LinkedIn directly to you, and that's more apt for that person to connect with. So you kind of research that person, find out where they work for, introduce yourself, find somebody that knows that person that maybe you know, and feel free to ask that. And I will be honest, there are times that I'll get that request from somebody, and it's like, hey, I see you're connected with so-and-so. Yeah, I am, but I don't really know that person, and I'm not comfortable enough to do the introduction. That's cool. But a lot of times it's like, yeah, more than happy. I just had lunch with this person the other day. I'll tell them about Victoria. She's really interested. But the key is for you to be interested and for you to know Linus well enough that he would go to bat for you. So it's always building these relationships. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Anything online, or is it quiet online today?
So far, no questions online.
All right. Well, that's all. I guess my final thing I was going to mention was just connect with me. Feel free. Like this is like a freebie. You don't even have to be all fancy. You could just say, hey, John, I was at your presentation. I'd like to connect with you. I'll connect with you. No worries. And then, I'll be more than happy to looked at your profile. I'm more than happy. I've been using, like I mentioned, LinkedIn for like 20 plus years. I built this network, and if I can introduce you to somebody that I know, more than happy to do it. That's kind of the expectation of being online. It's not like a hoard of gold that you're saving and trying to hoard just for, this is networking. You're out there to help others. So if you see somebody that I know that you like to know, I can either say, yeah, I can do that directly, or I might say, don't really know them that much, but go ahead and I would connect with them anyway. And you should always go into this, like, people are on LinkedIn to be connected with. They're not on LinkedIn to be, to build up walls between them and other people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using it. The exceptions sometimes are like celebrities. Like Mark Cuban's got a big profile. Pretty hard guy to connect with on LinkedIn. You use Mark Cuban to learn more as an educator, to learn about entrepreneurship or fintech or other things that he's involved with. But for the most part, us regular people, we're there to connect and we're there to help. So that said, Linus, why don't you come up and take us to the finish line here?
Great, excellent. Thanks, John. Let's get a round of applause for John.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
All right. Well, with that being said, this concludes our event for today. You just attended a How to Use LinkedIn workshop. As I mentioned at the start of this event, our career conversations take two forms. They can either teach you how to use a skill or how to build a skill, or they serve to expose you to different careers in the industry. So, this was a skill building workshop, and tomorrow we have another skill building workshop, this one on using AI. So, Jonathan Resendez will be joining us tomorrow in this same room from 5 to 6 p.m. You can come in person or you can join on Zoom, and he'll be leading a workshop on how to use AI using Google Gemini. So if you're interested in building up your AI skills, as you've heard, AI is kind of revolutionizing every industry right now. Attending this workshop will allow you to have a project under your belt that you can point to and say, "Oh yeah, I went to a workshop to learn how to use AI in a professional setting," and that helps, stand apart from other people who say that they use AI but don't have a project they can point to. So next up, these are our open internships through FutureTech. So um, Actually, actually, scratch that first one. Someone just got hired at Beacon for our network engineer internship. But currently, we still have the Makatawa Technologies internship open, which is based in Holland. They're looking for an IT help desk intern, which is a $20 an hour paid position. And pretty soon, we'll be opening up another general IT support internship at Code on Wheels. That one based in Grand Rapids, paid at $20 an hour. Yeah, as John mentioned, we'll be opening up more internships, probably sometime next month, if not this month. One of our partners, Tech Collaborative, which is the company last week's speaker Mike Carnevale works at, will be hiring in between 2 and 4 interns there. That's a web UX design company. Um, yeah, and if you stay tuned on our Canvas, you'll see all of our updates about open internships. We'll be opening them next month throughout the summer, and not just at Tech Collaborative. That being said, if you are someone who you're looking at the internships that are available and you're like, Linus, this isn't for me. Something else we do is we work with students to find internships at companies they want to work at. So if you have a local company that you're interested in working in, feel free to send us a message and say, hey, Linus, I'd love to work for so and so. And we'll see what we can do to get it set up. A lot of the times, the smaller the company is, the higher the chances they'll be willing to work with us and take on an intern. So that's something to keep in mind. Finally, if this is your first Future Tech event, we would love it if you could take the time to scan the QR code on the top right. That will take you to our interest form, which is a space for you to just drop your email so that we have your contact information and can follow up with you about ways to stay in touch with Future Tech in the future. If this is not your first Future Tech event, you know the drill. We'd love it if you could take the time to scan the QR code on the bottom right. That will take you to our attendance form. Filling out the attendance form is a way for you to log that you were here at this event and help us make sure you're on track to meeting your 2-hour monthly engagement goal. Now, recently we edited the attendance form to also have a badging form. Our program Future Tech Careers has launched digital badges to help you track your skills and show what you're building skill wise by being a part of Future Tech. So, after completing the attendance form, you can go to the badging form and claim a professionalism badge, a communication badge, or a career self development badge. Just by attending a Future Tech career conversation, you are eligible for a badge. So, you could walk away from this event with a badge showing, hey, I was at a career conversation and I learned from it. And each badge has 3 levels with different activities required to earn the badge. So within the badging form, you'll be able to see too what activities you need to do in order to achieve those other badges, those higher level badges. With that being said, this is the formal end to today's career conversation. So we hope to see you tomorrow at the AI workshop career conversation with Jonathan Resendez. John and I will be sticking around if you have any questions for either of us. But other than that, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to Adam and Kevin from our media tech department for making this event look so crystal clear on Zoom and sound so great. Thank you to everyone on Zoom who came today, and thank you so much to everyone in person as well. All right, see you tomorrow.